I think for me the most important thing that has happened, certainly with the work of Sisters in Islam, not just in Malaysia but globally, even though we're just a Malaysian group started by 8 women, we actually had a global impact, and that's why we launched Musawa. I think what we have opened up, and what's, for me, if people ask what's the most important thing Sisters in Islam has done, is really to open up the public space for debate on matters of religion. This is extremely important, that we've broken the monopoly of the religious authorities and the monopoly of the patriarchs in government to decide what Islam is and what it is not and how it is going to govern our lives. Because the point that we make is, in countries like Malaysia, where Islam is a source of law and public policy, everyone has a right to engage and to speak on the religion. We're not talking about theology alone. We're talking about how theology is used for political purposes, how religion is used for public law and policy. So the debate is about public law and public policy.
The space has really, really narrowed drastically in the past few years particularly. Like we're all being squeezed into a particular box. And if we don't conform, then we're all in trouble. That's why, sisters, we've had so many people trying to ban us, so many people trying to say that we can't use the word Islam in our name, people trying to ban our book, and all sorts of things. We've been subjected to so much harassment. When we spoke out in support of Kartika a few years ago, we had 50 police reports filed against us. I mean, this is the sort of harassment just because we're saying something different, and those in authority feel that this is threatening because they have to control the message in order to stay in power. They cannot have other people challenging them and saying, no, there are different interpretations. I think that there is always an assumption that if you have a female prime minister, and that's because we've had male prime ministers all this time, so we've never seen the alternative. We are assuming that a female prime minister must naturally be better. Well, to me, I think it depends. It depends on who. There have been lots of female heads of government. Not all of them have performed well. I think for the most part, especially in Asia, the heads of government who are female have been daughters, sisters, now sister, wives, widows of men. And their power has often been derived from the fact that the men in the party want them there to carry on the legacy of their dead spouse, father, brother, whatever, and so they have not had the autonomy to do what they really want to do, and they've not been. They are so concerned about keeping that place that they've really not considered, women's issues as a particularly important part of it. There are a few exceptions, none of which are in this region. I think Michelle Bachelet of Chile is probably the best example of a woman head of government who has done something for women. And one of the first things she did when she came into office, the first time, she's now been elected for a second time, first thing she did was made sure that half her cabinet was female. I think, the system needs to change first, really, for women to come into politics. Just practically speaking. We can wish all you want, but the way the system works now, it creates a lot of barriers for women. For one thing, me personally, I think all these women's wings should be disbanded. Because they create, I've mentioned this before, they create little playpens for women to go and play with. They say, oh, you go and talk about your women's issues there. But they're not anywhere near the center of power. The power is in the main male part of the party. And that's where you need to go, right? Like right now, you have to be the head of the party with the most number of votes, whatever, to become prime minister. So you have to get there in order to be prime minister. We don't have direct elections, unfortunately. I think if we did have direct elections for Prime Minister, then women stand a chance. Because anyone can stand for election, right? But we don't. We have to go through the circuitous route. And you know, there are barriers all the way. The other thing is about the 30% of allocation for women in parliament and that sort of thing. You know, all the parties are paying lip service to this. To me, they're not at all sincere. If you look at other countries that have been really determined to get more women in politics, they have really instituted all sorts of regulations to make sure that women do get there, whether it is allocated spaces, like, you know, just by appointment, you just appoint women in there, or you make sure that you put women in winnable constituencies where they have a very good chance of winning.